It only took one phone call, and I lost everything. In today's story, you will meet me. My name is Margaret, though most people call me Grandma, Maggie. I will share what happened the afternoon I picked up the phone and believed a man who claimed to be from my bank. By the end of that call, my account was empty. $200,000 was gone, and all I could do was stare at the numbers on the screen as my heart sank. Leave a like to support stories like this, and comment below where you are listening from. Now take a deep breath, settle in, and watch until the end, because this is a warning you cannot afford to miss. I have lived a long life. I raised children, cared for grandchildren, and spent decades saving every penny I could. I always believed I was cautious. I always believed scams were something that happened to someone else. But the man on the line was different. His voice was calm and professional. He used my name, he mentioned my bank, and he spoke with the kind of authority that made me trust him. He told me that someone was trying to break into my account, and that he could help me stop it if I followed his instructions carefully. So I did. What I did not realize was that every step he gave me was not protecting my money, but handing it away. With every number I repeated and every detail I shared, he took a piece of my savings. By the time I hung up, it was gone. $200,000 that represented years of work, years of sacrifice, and the security I hoped to leave behind for my family. That is why I am telling you this story. Not because I want sympathy, but because it can happen to anyone, even someone who thought she was careful. If it could happen to me, it could happen to your parents, your grandparents, or even to you. So please, listen carefully, stay with me until the end. Let my mistake become your warning. Soft pause, voice drops lower for impact. It only took one phone call, and I lost everything. Most mornings in my retirement feel the same, and I like it that way. I live in a modest little house, a place that has always felt safe, filled with memories of family dinners, birthdays, and quiet evenings by the fire. The walls are lined with photographs of my children and grandchildren. Each smile, frozen in time, makes the silence of the house feel a little warmer. That afternoon was no different from the others. The sun was pouring through the curtains, and the kettle was whistling softly in the kitchen. I made myself a cup of chamomile tea, carried it to my favorite chair, and set my knitting needles across my lap. My television murmured in the background, playing one of those afternoon dramas I half watch while I stitch. It was calm, peaceful, the kind of day you almost take for granted. I had spent decades working hard, saving carefully, and telling myself that retirement would be my reward. And it was. I enjoyed the quiet, the rhythm, the small comforts of routine. My bank account gave me confidence that I could take care of myself, and still have something to leave for my family when I was gone. Then the phone rang. The sound startled me because it was so sharp against the stillness of the room. I glanced at the screen. The number wasn't familiar, but I've always had the habit of answering, just in case it was important. With a small sigh, I reached for the receiver and pressed it to my ear. "Hello," I said, trying to sound polite. The voice that answered was calm, professional, and warm. It had the tone of someone who spoke to hundreds of customers a day, confident and reassuring. "Good afternoon, ma'am. This is Thomas from the fraud department of your bank. I need to speak with Margaret Carter regarding her checking account." My heart skipped. He had my name, my full name, that immediately made me feel at ease. "Yes, this is she," I answered, sitting up a little straighter in my chair. "Thank you, Mrs. Carter," the man said smoothly. "I know this call might come as a surprise, but our systems flagged unusual activity on your account. Before we proceed, let me verify part of your account number, so you know this is a secure call." He then read out the first 4 digits of my account. My eyes widened. He was right. That was mine. In that moment, the tiny alarm bell in the back of my head went silent. If he knew my name, and he knew part of my account number, then surely he was from the bank. Surely this was someone trying to protect me. I remember feeling an almost overwhelming sense of relief. "Oh my goodness," I said. "I am so glad you called. I've heard about people getting their accounts hacked. I wouldn't know what to do if that happened to me." "That is exactly why I am here," he replied, his voice calm and patient. "Our job is to make sure your money is safe. And I promise we will take care of this together. That word stuck in my mind. I thought I wasn't alone in that moment. I thought someone was looking out for me. I sat back in my chair, clutching the phone a little tighter, and for the first time in years, I felt truly grateful to my bank. What I did not realize was that my gratitude was about to cost me everything. That one call marked the end of my peace. The man's voice stayed steady, calm, even kind, but his next words sent a chill down my spine. "Mrs. Carter, I need to be completely honest with you. Someone is trying to hack your account right now." I nearly dropped the phone. My tea went cold in my hand as my heart started pounding. "What? How could that be?" I stammered. "It happens every day," he replied, sounding sympathetic, like a friend. "But you don't need to panic. That's why I'm calling. We can stop them, but we have to act immediately. If we don't, your money could be gone in minutes. Gone in minutes." That phrase wrapped around me like a vice. I had spent my whole life saving for retirement, for my children, for emergencies. The idea of it vanishing before my eyes was unbearable. "I'll do whatever you say," I whispered, clutching the phone. "That's exactly what we need, Mrs. Carter. You're doing the right thing," he assured me. In the background, I could hear the clacking of a keyboard, faint voices murmuring, as if I were truly speaking to a busy fraud department. It felt real, too real. He continued, his voice professional and precise. "Before I can secure your account, I need to verify some details. Can you confirm your date of birth for me?" Without hesitation, I gave it. "Perfect, thank you. Now, for security, can you provide the last 4 digits of your social security number?" Again, I obeyed. "And your current mailing address?" I repeated it line by line, word by word. With every answer, he made soft typing sounds, followed by little affirmations. "Good, that matches our records." "Excellent, Mrs. Carter. You're doing great." I felt a strange comfort, like he was guiding me through a storm. In my head, I thought, this is what the bank is supposed to do. Protect me, watch over me, stop the bad guys before they take what I've earned. The relief was overwhelming. For a moment, I even smiled, thinking how lucky I was to have picked up the phone. How lucky I was that my bank cared enough to call me directly. I trusted him completely, but beneath that trust was annoying fear. The thought of losing everything I had worked for pushed me to obey every instruction, no matter how invasive it seemed. His tone was so calm, so patient, so professional that I silenced the tiny doubts in my mind. I believed I was safe. I believed he was saving me. And I believed, with all my heart, that he was on my side. What I didn't know was that I had just handed him the keys to everything I owned, and the trap had only just begun to close. The man's tone grew sharper, more urgent, though never unkind. "Mrs. Carter," he said, "your account is under immediate threat. If we leave the funds where they are, the hackers will drain everything. The only way to protect your savings is to move them into a temporary safe account. I froze. A safe account? I had never heard of such a thing before. I don't know, I said slowly, my hand trembling around the phone. That sounds unusual. His voice softened, full of reassurance. I understand your hesitation, but please trust me. This is the only way to secure your funds. Think of it as putting your money in a locked vault. Once the danger is gone, we will move it back into your normal account. You will not lose a cent. The way he spoke, so calm and professional, it disarmed me. His words carried authority, like someone who had done this 1,000 times before. Still, I hesitated. My stomach churned. Could I really move all of my savings, just like that? But then I thought about the alternative. If I did nothing, if I doubted him now, the hackers might steal everything. Every dollar I had saved. Every ounce of security I had built for my family. So I whispered, "All right. Tell me what to do." "Good choice, Mrs. Carter," he replied immediately, almost as if he had been waiting for those words. "Stay on the line with me. I will guide you step by step. Do not hang up. This must be done carefully." And so he kept me there. Hours passed, though I barely noticed the time. I followed every instruction he gave me, typing in numbers, verifying details, moving screens I didn't fully understand. His voice was steady, patient, never letting me pause too long. "Perfect. You're doing great," he would say after each step. "Almost there. Just a little more." By then, my mind was foggy with exhaustion. My body ached from sitting at the desk, my fingers stiff, but I clung to his reassurance like a lifeline. Finally, the last step appeared on the screen. I entered the numbers he told me, my savings account flashing on the monitor. $200,000. Everything I had. "Now," he instructed, "transfer those funds into the temporary safe account. That is the vault we will use to protect your money. Once it's inside, the hackers cannot touch it." My hands shook violently as I typed the last digits. I stared at the screen for what felt like an eternity, then pressed confirm. And just like that, $200,000 was gone. I gasped, my breath catching in my throat. The man's voice broke the silence, calm, steady, almost warm. "Don't worry, Mrs. Carter. Your money is safe now. You did the right thing. Safe." He said it like a promise, and in that moment, I believed him. Relief washed over me, heavy and overwhelming. I leaned back in my chair, tears stinging my eyes, whispering, "Thank God, thank you." But the truth was far more cruel. My money wasn't safe, it was gone, and I had just handed it to him myself. The call ended with a soft click. For a moment, I just sat there, staring at the phone in my hand. My chest rose and fell with slow, uneven breaths. It was over. The nice man from the bank had taken care of everything. My money was safe. My future was safe. I set the phone down on the table and closed my eyes. A heavy sigh slipped from my lips, half exhaustion, half relief. I told myself I had done the right thing, that I had acted quickly, that I had protected myself. That voice on the other end had been calm, reassuring, professional. He had promised me my account was secure. I wanted so badly to believe it. I shuffled into the kitchen, put the kettle on, and made myself a cup of tea. The house felt unusually quiet, almost too quiet, but I convinced myself that was a good thing. No alarms, no more threats, just peace. I settled into my favorite chair by the window, the one with the cushion that's just a little too worn but perfectly molded to my back. I sipped my tea, trying to let the warmth ease the tension in my chest. The television flickered on in the background, some old rerun I wasn't really watching. I was trying to push the day behind me, to pretend life was normal again. But somewhere deep inside, a thought whispered, what if I just check? It was almost midnight when I carried my laptop to the kitchen table. I hesitated before typing in my login information. My hands felt stiff, my fingers trembling as I pressed each key. The loading bar crawled across the screen, far too slowly, as if it already knew what was coming. My breath caught in my throat, and then the page opened. I will never forget what I saw. One number, one balance, $0. At first, I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me. I blinked, leaned forward, even rubbed at the screen as if a smudge might be covering the numbers. I refreshed the page, once, twice, a dozen times, but it never changed. The zero stayed, staring back at me, a cruel emptiness where my life's savings had been. $200,000, gone. My body went cold all at once. My hands shook so violently that the mouse slipped from my grasp and clattered onto the floor. My heart pounded so hard it hurt, echoing in my ears louder than the ticking clock on the wall. No, I whispered, shaking my head. No, this can't be right. I typed my login again, praying I had entered something wrong. The screen loaded. Same result. 0. The air in the room grew heavy. My breaths came short and ragged. My vision blurred as hot tears filled my eyes. I tried to stand, but my knees gave out beneath me. I gripped the edge of the chair just to keep from falling. The entire room tilted and spun, the walls closing in tighter with every second. I stumbled back into the chair, my whole body trembling. My lips quivered, and then the sound came, raw, broken sobs that shook me to my core. The kind of sobbing that comes from deep inside, from a place of pure devastation. I pressed my hands to my face, but the tears streamed through my fingers. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think. All I could see was that number, that awful, merciless number. $200,000. It wasn't just money, it was my security, my peace of mind, my ability to live comfortably in my last years. It was the college fund I had set aside for my grandkids. It was the emergency cushion I had built over decades of hard work. It was the roof over my head, the food on my table, the medicine I relied on. And in a single night, with a single phone call, it was gone. I cried until my throat burned, until my body ached, until I could barely keep my eyes open. The sound of my own sobs filled the empty house, echoing through the walls. It was a sound I had never made before, and I pray I never make again. The silence that followed was deafening, a silence so heavy it pressed down on me like a weight. I sat there, staring at the screen, frozen in disbelief. My thoughts spiraled. How could I have been so foolish? How could I have trusted a stranger with my life's savings? I replayed the call in my head, every word, every reassurance, every lie disguised as help. His voice had been so calm, so convincing. He had known my name, my account, my details. He had sounded like a guardian, but he had been the thief all along. I wanted to scream. I wanted to smash the laptop, to break something, to do anything to release the storm raging inside me. But I couldn't. My body wouldn't move. I just sat there, paralyzed, tears dripping onto the keyboard. That night, I learned what true helplessness feels like. Not just fear, not just sadness, but the crushing weight of knowing you've lost everything, and there is no way to take it back. I whispered the words out loud, though my voice cracked with every syllable. It felt like my soul was ripped out. Because that's exactly what it was. It wasn't just the loss of money, it was the betrayal. The realization that someone had preyed on my trust, on my kindness, on my belief that people are good. They had seen me not as a person, but as a target, and I had walked straight into their trap. I sat there until the sun began to rise, the first rays of light creeping through the window. I hadn't slept. I hadn't moved. I just stared at the zero on the screen, my heart numb, my spirit broken. By morning, one thing was clear. My life would never be the same again. And the cruelest part, I had no one to blame but myself. By the time my family arrived, I had already cried so much my eyes were swollen, my cheeks raw. My daughter, her husband, and my grandchildren stood in the doorway, taking in the scene, the open laptop, the empty account balance, my shaking hands. I don't know what happened, I whispered. I thought I was doing the right thing. I thought the bank was protecting me. My daughter took my hand, squeezing it gently. Mum, it's not your fault. Scammers are very clever. They target people who are careful, trusting, the ones who know what they're doing. You're not to blame. But I felt the shame burning in my chest. I had taught them all about finances, about caution, about vigilance. And yet, here I was, outsmarted by a voice on the phone. The days that followed were a blur of calls, emails, and police reports. News reports started trickling in about similar scams targeting seniors. Headlines screamed, "Elderly woman loses $200,000 to fraudsters." Scammers prey on the vulnerable. Phishing and phone fraud on the rise. I read them quietly, my stomach twisting with every line. I was not alone, but somehow that only deepened the sense of helplessness. Every time I picked up the phone, my hands shook. Every time I looked at my online accounts, I expected the balance to be zero all over again. Every time I thought of the money, I felt a hollow ache in my chest, a void that no reassurance could fill. It was indeed just the funds I had lost. That was the sense of security I had spent a lifetime building. My retirement, my freedom, my ability to help my family when they needed me most, that was all gone. $200,000 erased in a single night, and all I could do was sit and feel the devastation wash over me. I wanted to scream. I wanted to fight back, to find the people who had stolen my life's work. But the truth was clear. These people were faceless, likely unreachable, and certainly ruthless. I was a victim of my own trust, my own kindness. As my family comforted me, I realized the depth of my heartbreak. It wasn't just money. It wasn't just numbers in an account. It was my life's work, the years of careful planning, the inheritance I had intended for my children. Everything I had saved for decades, all gone. I spent the night staring at the ceiling, unable to sleep. The shadows in my home seemed heavier, more oppressive, as if the walls themselves understood the enormity of what had happened. I thought of the scammer's voice, calm and convincing, and I felt a rage that simmered just beneath the despair. I kept repeating the words to myself, almost as a warning to anyone who might listen. It wasn't just money. It was my life's work, my children's inheritance, my security, my future, gone. By morning, I had cried until my body ached, and yet I felt no closer to relief. The emptiness lingered. My bank account was empty, my confidence shaken, and my trust in the world forever altered. I realized that in a single, cunning phone call, my life had changed completely, and there was no going back. And so, I sat quietly in my living room, my family around me, trying to hold myself together. The laptop remained open, a silent reminder of what I had lost. The police reports filed, the news articles read, the promises to recover what could never return. It all felt hollow against the weight of $200,000 stolen in a single, simple act. I whispered to myself, and to anyone who would listen, I have lost more than money. I have lost my peace. And I will never forget this lesson. Not for a single day of my life. As I sit here, staring at the empty space where my bank account used to be, I realize something important. This story isn't just mine. It could happen to anyone. Anyone who answers the phone without questioning. Anyone who trusts the wrong voice. Anyone who thinks it could never happen to me. I want to speak to you now, directly. Look, I know what it feels like to be in my shoes, the panic, the disbelief, the shaking hands, the hollow ache in your chest. I know the shame that follows, the fear of telling anyone because you feel foolish for being tricked. But listen carefully. This isn't about blame. This is about awareness, about protecting yourself from a simple call that can steal your life savings in a matter of hours. If it happened to me, it can happen to you. I was careful. I had lived a life of discipline, saving every penny, planning for the future. Yet, one phone call, one smooth, professional voice, and $200,000 were gone before I even had time to react. Think about that. $200,000 gone. No warning. No chance to stop it once it started. The lesson here is simple but vital. Never, ever give personal information to anyone over the phone unless you have verified their identity directly. Date of birth, social security numbers, account numbers, passwords, never share them. Not with a stranger, not even with someone who claims to be from your bank. Scammers know exactly what to say, how to sound convincing, how to make you feel panic or urgency. They rely on fear to override your common sense. When you get a call like that, here's what you must do. First, don't panic. Take a deep breath. Listen, but don't act. Scammers want you to act immediately. They want you to feel that every second counts, that your money will be stolen if you hesitate. That urgency is a trick. It's designed to make you give away the very information that protects you. Next, hang up. I know it feels counterintuitive, especially when the voice on the phone sounds calm, polite, and helpful. But hang up. Then, use a verified number to call your bank directly. Not a number they give you. Not one from a caller ID that could be faked. Call the official number on your statements, your bank card, or the bank's website. Confirm for yourself what's happening. And finally, be alert for anything suspicious. Emails, text messages, calls, or any unusual activity in your accounts should raise a red flag. Don't ignore small signs, because scammers are patient. They wait for the moment when you let your guard down, when you're distracted, tired, or trusting. I wish I had known these things. I wish someone had told me that even the most careful person can be tricked. I wish I had hung up and verified, but I didn't. Instead, I followed instructions, believing I was protecting myself, only to discover that I had walked right into a trap. The aftermath has been painful. Beyond the money, beyond the loss of my retirement savings, there is a lasting sense of vulnerability. I have learned to double-check, to question, to never assume safety. But the experience has also given me a voice, a message I can share with you so that you do not have to learn the hard way like I did. Because sometimes the worst thieves don't break into your home. Sometimes they don't even need to see you. They call, they manipulate, they charm, they create urgency, and they steal everything you have worked for. And when it happens, it feels like your world has collapsed in a single instant. But awareness can prevent that. Knowledge can save you. I urge you to take this seriously. Share this story with your family, with your friends, with anyone who might be vulnerable. Teach them the signs. Teach them the tricks. Teach them that no matter how convincing a voice on the phone may sound, no legitimate bank employee will ask you to give out your full personal information in the middle of a call. I also want to say to those who might already have fallen victim to such scams, it's not your fault. These criminals are highly skilled, and they prey on trust and kindness. Reach out for help immediately. Document everything and report the incident to authorities. While the recovery of funds is often difficult, spreading awareness can prevent future victims. As I sit here, reflecting on what I lost, I feel a mix of sorrow and determination. Sorrow for the money, yes, but more so for the violation of trust and the vulnerability it exposed. Determination, because now I have a story that could protect someone else, and that is something no thief can take from me. So I leave you with this final warning, a lesson etched into every fiber of my being. Protect your personal information. Question every call. Verify every instruction. And never, ever let urgency override your instincts. Because sometimes the worst thieves don't break into your home, they call, pause. And just so you understand the gravity of what happened to me, let the screen tell the story. $200,000 vanished, stolen in a single phone call. Let the words sink in. $200,000 gone. This is not just a number, it is a warning, a lesson, a reality. Let it be the moment that changes how you protect yourself. Let it be the reason you pause, breathe, and verify before it is too late.